Hey there, Chad here for Chibi AI. In this video, I want to show you a couple of changes that have been made recently to make the editor a little bit easier to use, but also to bring you a whole bunch of new power and capabilities for your writing. Something that I think a lot of people will be really interested in. So first, right here, you can see that this is different. If you're a Chibi user, this is basically what you see when you first start a new document. And it says to begin writing, enter a topic in the box at the right, and then use the seed button to get you started, or write at least 25 characters at the start of this document. Now over here, you notice that these buttons are a little bit faded now, and that if you click them, they actually don't do anything. And that's because right now, there's nothing for Chibi to work with, so there's no point in really being able to ask for Chibi to write some content for you, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a topic, and I'm just going to put the steps to make homemade apple pie as the topic. Now you notice that the seed button, which used to be under here, right, it used to be right where a technical button is, which meant that it was only a part of article. But now that it's a part of the core workflow buttons, which is what I call these green buttons here, the seed button is actually available in all of the modes. And if you didn't know that these core workflow buttons actually change a little bit behind the scenes depending on the mode that you're in. So when you're in article mode, these buttons are going to try to be a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more focused on being direct and on the point for that particular piece of content. I mean, not totally. They're a little creative, but they are kind of trying to be a little bit more dry, a little bit more descriptive kind of. Whereas if you start moving up in towards copywriting and persona, they become more and more creative. Now, in the AI world, creative really means that it kind of opens up the vocabulary, lets Chibi use, more tangents and things like that. That might mean that what you might end up getting is content that's a little bit fluffier, not fluffier, but like a little bit outside of what you thought you were gonna get, but still related. A little hard to describe, but anyways, creativity in the AI world is kind of like means that he can go down different ways of using words, and it usually ends up meaning that you get more creative appearing content, and so that's why we just say creative. But yeah, so all of these buttons are affected by that, including the new location for the seed button, and this is the new flow button, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So once we have enough in the topic box, seed lights up. Now we could start writing our own here in the top of this article, but the reason that the seed button exists is kind of give you a jump start in your content. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the seed button and let Chibi write. All right. And actually, let me go ahead and undo that. I'm going to switch to copywriting and show you that we might get something a little different. All right. There we go. I don't know why he didn't capitalize that, but okay. All right, so now we have something here. You can see that these other buttons have now become available. And that means, then this burn sharp beauty. Okay. Okay, so now that we have all the other buttons available to us, this is right. This is the right button, not like what you would experience in other AI tools. So in Chibi, this right button is trying to be hyper focused so that Chibi never really veers off topic for you. And that means that he's using the topic very heavily combined with what else is in the content here. Now Chibi doesn't use like a real concept of look back. So, like you might hear other tools say, that, we can look back 2,000 characters and things like that. I've developed a pretty sophisticated algorithm to help Chibi decide how to help you write. And which means that when you use this button, it's actually better if you use this button when you have a lead, which means that you start writing your fragment of a sentence first, like to make the best, and you learn how to type, best homemade apple pie, and then command enter does write. And so there we go. That's pretty cool. Okay. All right, so that's basically off of leads. But the new flow button, this one here, this is where you're just unleashing Chibi. You let Chibi just flow with whatever's in the content. He's actually going to ignore what's here in the topic. He doesn't use it at all. And he's going to riff off of what's there and he actually will follow patterns and things like that, which means if you really know what you're doing, you can do some really powerful things with him. And I'll show you just one here. Uh, Lists. For example, we're in steps to make a homemade apple pie document here, right? So if we copy this and we put it here, and I'm going to show you this in probably two ways. One, if it works out first, but I want to show you what you might do if it doesn't quite follow the pattern that you hope for. So we could do something like this. The steps to make homemade apple pie. Let's go ahead and put a colon there. And then we have 1 point space, right? Like you're starting a list. And we'll go ahead and hit the flow button to see if Chibi flows with it here. There you go. Yep, he is. And you can just keep hitting that flow button, but the flow is also Shift Command F. So I can just keep hitting that. All right. And he'll just keep going. He's still riffing with the going with the flow, the pattern that's being designed there. And yeah, so it's working out pretty good. I would say that that's a pretty quick way to get some of the content you might want. And the really powerful thing with the flow button is that you can experiment with stuff. Just try different things and see what comes up. And in the Chibi community, we're going to be bringing out some more examples and different ways that we find to use the flow button to create some really interesting content. And yeah, that's what's new in Chibi. And I hope you find that the flow button is really powerful for your needs, and that combining it with all the other tools that you have here, like Finish and Pathways and stuff like that, that you end up with a really cool workflow that just creates content that's amazing for you and your readers. And until next time, take care.